Okay guys, this post is absolutely huge right now because we have clarification on SOS battle odds for different things such as IVs, abilities, and shiny chance. So this is what we need right now for Pokemon Sun and Moon, more in-depth mechanics on SOS battle chaining. So clarification on perfect IVs. Now it looks like I did get it wrong in my Ditto video. That my Ditto guide, I said you should chain up to 40 because in my research at the time of making the video, there are people that were claiming that at around 35 chains, they were still finding 3 IVs on their Ditto. I think I've also seen some tweets that back this up as well, like, oh, I chained this up to 38, or I chained this Ditto for a really long time. What went wrong? But this seems to suggest that 30 is the magical number. So go to 31, and then that should be 4 guaranteed perfect IVs. Hidden abilities. This might actually be the biggest one, even more than shiny chance. Every day, I'm getting people asking me, what are the odds of getting hidden abilities? I just didn't know, which is why I haven't made a video on it. But right here, chain length of 0 to 9, 0% chance for hidden abilities. Chain length of 10 to 19, 5% chance, and then it goes 10, 15, and that's it. It caps out at a chain length of 30. So all those people that have been trying to go like 50 or 60 or something to try to get the best odds, well, it doesn't, that sucks because it doesn't really help out at all. That at best, you only get a 15% chance of that hidden ability. So that means like you just go to 31 and you hope for the best unless it has like one of those abilities that activates immediately. Like with Ditto, you can tell with the Imposter Ditto. I was wondering if it turned on at any amount either, because I remember early on in some of my Ditto IV chaining that I would get a Imposter Ditto, you know, chain 12 or something. That just didn't seem right. So it looks like these are going to be the odds for it. So yeah, you do have to get at least 10, and then after that, the odds will start to go up. And then shiny chance. So shiny chance, there's a little bit of a note right here. Take this section with a grain of salt, however. It seems that there's some doubt as to the sources as to whether these numbers are accurate. It's entirely possible that there's code somewhere that makes the chance much higher. We just don't know yet, which is also really interesting. I'd imagine with all the data mining and all the information leaking and stuff like that, that we'd have a better idea of the exact odds with SOS battling and stuff like that. And if you guys are wondering why it says 255, well, that's because it actually rolls over. So I think right here, that 255 recess in SOS battle sucks. I was SOS battling Ditto, got a shiny one, got mine at 536. Well, that's because the reset and only had 3 perfect IVs at 25 or 255, 255 plus 26. So that's kind of interesting and unfortunate. I'm wondering if it really changed anything though, because say for example, you go to 255 and then you just reset the chain, or like you end the battle manually. Well, that doesn't really change the odds at all, because when you're at 26, you're getting the same shiny roll as always. So it seems a little unfortunate that that could happen, but it looks like that is what is impacting people. I think that might have happened to some people that have also been tweeting me saying like, I was in this chain forever, I finally got shiny Ditto but only had 2 IVs, so maybe they caught it at the end of that IV roll, which is pretty unfortunate. And then it shows like 1 guaranteed IV, 5 to 9. That's actually pretty low for those guaranteed IVs, and then you just get to 30, and then you get 2 extra rolls for the other ones, and that's how you get a 5 or 6 IV Ditto. But the shiny chance is actually interesting because we still don't know. It feels like the Dex Nav in that anything, that the second that chain starts that you have just better shiny odds, but it looks like we can't confirm if it's 1 or 2 more rolls or where those rolls start coming into play. But we do know that 70 to 255, it shows 3 extra rolls for a shiny spawn. So after a chain of 70, the game rolls shiny chance 3 extra times, giving us a 4 in 4,096 chance, thus making the odds 1 in 1,000. Like that feels so weird, because it feels like people are getting shiny Pokemon at higher odds faster than ever. Like, look at A-Drive. A-Drive is getting a mad amount of shinies, all these other shiny hunters, because it's easier than ever. Maybe just because, like, in the SOS battling, you can't really screw it up. You just attack the other Pokemon. Now, it looks like the shiny charm also doesn't make that big of a difference. That goes down to 1 in 683 odds, because the shiny charm adds rolls automatically. So it looks like instead of, like, decreasing the odds, it's just adding rolls. That means you're going from 3 rolls on the shiny charm to 6 with that extra chain right there. So that's actually really interesting. And then talking about the Masuda method, shiny charm yields a chance of 8 in 4,000. So that means 1 in 512 per egg. So that's the Masuda method, always been that way. And then we have a little bit of clarification on the 255 number. The game uses 8-bit counter to count the chain length, so that way it's going to max out at 255, then it overflows back to 0 again. This is actually pretty standard in a lot of older games. I'm actually surprised that it's in something like Pokemon Sun and Moon. And then we have the double asterisks here. Presumably 1 and 2 extra rolls are added somewhere between a chain of 1 and 69, but it's not yet known exactly where that happens. That's weird, because I got my shiny Salandit at like chain 18. So it helps, and you can still get really lucky. But yeah, those odds are much higher than I expected, because I found another post looking at like the Dex Nav, because Dex Nav chaining, that was flat odds. So it looks like the chain does matter, even though like in Pokemon Sun and Moon, the original consensus was, yeah, the chain doesn't really matter because people are finding these insane shiny odds so early on. But the Dex Nav was confirmed like that. Data showed chain link did not matter, search level did not matter, none of that really mattered, and that the odds were somewhere around 1 in 308, but more realistically, 1 in 512. So these were just the average right here. 1 in 308 is based off total number of encounters as an average of 1 shiny every 308 Pokemon encountered. Or maybe like there was another flat rate, and then if there was a shiny charm, it would lower it even more. But the Friend Safari was 1 in 512, and this is the really surprising one for me. That means the odds of getting a shiny in the Friend Safari are actually better than in Pokemon Sun and Moon, where it seems like the consensus is that like it's super easy, that this is the easiest generation for getting shiny, even though the odds still look pretty ridiculous. That until a chain length of 70, you're still having odds that are 2 in 4,000, so 1 in 2,000, and then 3 in 4,000. So the odds are still really low for the initial part of that chain, and up to 70. So that means we're getting 70 attempts. It could just be faster to get Pokemon the Friend Safari. I actually want to try that out. I want to see like no shiny charm Friend Safari versus no. Actually, I don't even think the Friend Safari calculated with a shiny charm. If you had a shiny charm, Friend Safari was just a flat 1 in 500. So yeah, no shiny charm Pokemon Sun and Moon versus no shiny charm in the Friend Safari would be really interesting to test out for sure. Because yeah, those odds look lower. That shiny Pokemon are rare is weird as it sounds. Now I do understand that SOS battles do happen faster, but taking into consideration the lower odds earlier on in the chain, and also just the fact that you have to put in a little bit of work into it, you also have to, the opponent has to call, and then depending on how that Pokemon works. So it might average out in a really interesting way. And then there's just a clarification on chains. So knocking out all Pokemon on the field will end the chain. Knocking out the original caller only if there's no other Pokemon on the side capable for calling for help. And now this is where things get crazy. So after reading a lot of comments, I've come to realize it's possible to have a Pokemon call an ally slot that is not of the same evolutionary family as the original caller and still have the chain continue. Now, one of the big issues that we've seen with chaining is, say you're going for Marini. I think Marini is maybe the biggest one right now because you have a Corsola at 1 hit point, and if you don't deal with the Marini, it knocks out the Corsola, and you can't chain Marini to have it call for another Marini, so you're kind of screwed out of that one. Well, that's actually because of the way that it works. So I have this post right here. So these are Pokemon that have a call rate of 0, since the call rate is actually what determines how often the Pokemon is going to be called for in an SOS battle. So as you can see right here, we have Happiny. This is why if you have a Pichu, it calls for Happiny. Well, the Happiny doesn't have any call rate. It has no chance of calling for something, even though it could potentially call for another Pokemon. Salamence also has a call rate of 0. There's the Marini. So this call rate stuff does give a lot of clarification, shows like legendary Pokemon and stuff like that. Also, even like same evolutionary family, which could be interesting if you're thinking, oh, if it's different evolutionary family, then why isn't Salamence calling? Then why aren't all these evolved Pokemon calling? Just kind of showing it depends on what the call rate for those Pokemon are individually. That's what we can see this right here. Pokemon with a call rate of 3. So Slowbro still has a call rate. Marowak, Kangaskhan, Scyther. I think the Kangaskhan one actually works out pretty well because we can see that if you do Cubone, Cubone can call for a Kangaskhan, and then you can knock out the Cubone, and Kangaskhan still has a call rate. So different evolutionary family, still like a bigger Pokemon in terms of how the SOS chaining is going, a rarer Pokemon, and then it can still call for another Pokemon. Same with Glalie and all these other Pokemon, so that's actually really interesting. And then you can use this to kind of find out what Pokemon are going to be easier. Actually, I want to look up the Ditto. Seems like Ditto is calling a lot. That's a Pokemon with a call rate of 9. So yeah, very common on the Ditto. I think Corsola would be another one. So Corsola, that's right next to Ditto. So yeah, we have all these Pokemon with different call rates right there. That's actually really interesting. I actually really like the idea behind that. Then I think that's it. I think that's a lot of what I found right here. Then last little bit, what will not break a chain? Switching out your Pokemon mid-fight, calling out the original caller as long as they're called, and has a non-zero call chance to see like the crossing out of the same evolutionary family. And there's been some debate whether or not a chain will continue if Pokemon is of different evolutionary lines. Joe Consistent seems that the chain will continue regardless of the species. It's just all about call rate. Call rate, call rate, call rate. EV training. It seems that EV training is still off of the Cerebi breakdown that you just knock out 7 Pokemon, and it's interesting. So once an encounter becomes an SOS battle, all EV gains are doubled. That means that if you KO the original Pokemon, you still get double the EVs. That's what I was wondering. That was actually one of the big ones for me because I'm like, okay, does that mean you have to KO 7 called Pokemon? Actually, no, you just KO 6 called Pokemon, and then you finish off the original Pokemon, and that will max out the EVs if you have a power item and if you also have Pokerus. So that shows that EV training is even quicker than we thought, or at least a little more simple than we initially acknowledged. So right here, just going to talk about my guides as well, because my SOS guide, this is what's going to be cleared up in the SOS guide, and also my shiny hunting guide, because I said flat rate, I believe, and we just didn't know. But yeah, I got it really early on shinies to land it. So there we go, guys. Hope you all enjoy the video talking about SOS battles and a lot of the big things about it. So IVs are easier, shinies look harder, and that's how you get the hidden abilities. Like the hidden ability ones, that kind of sucks, and that explains why people have been having such a hard time. But at least it's still possible. At least it's still possible for the hidden abilities. So if you guys enjoy the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.